We're just going with like a different setup since we get to play Mafia. That means it's a much longer game, obviously. So we wouldn't normally end it right there, but we're gonna call it right there, and which means that we have time for a message, and maybe a little bit of life group time, but not much. All right, it's just kind of a weird night, and that's okay. So we're just gonna roll with it with that. We just went live, so if you're just joining us, welcome to the live stream. Paul Bodie, I'm so sorry that you can't be with us. We're praying for all of you guys, everyone who's sick, Josh, everyone, Dave, everyone else who's sick, everyone who's in Florida, not praying for you. So just kidding. You get prayers too. You know, safe trip back and all that. That you don't get too badly sunburned. But we're gonna continue on in our series right now, guys. We're gonna talk about our next thing that. Under the What Does God Say About That series. So for those of you who are joining us, because there's a few newer faces, we're going through this series asking questions about relevant things in our lives, relevant things in our world, and asking the question, what does God say about that? What does God say about whatever that is? And we talked about social media. We are on relationships right now. We're on the relationships with the people in our life. And that includes everything, all the relationships in our life, our family, our friends, our frenemies. That is also going to include dating. So we're gonna do dating next week. So get excited about that because that's going to be sweet. I know I'm excited about it. So just get stoked, guys. Get stoked to come back. So we're gonna talk about it because that's relevant. That goes on in your guys' life, and we want to ask a question. What does God say about that? But tonight we're gonna talk about something different. We're gonna ask a question. What does God say about our family, specifically our parents. And remember we said this a few weeks ago, but for the rest of your life, your greatest highs and your lowest lows are going to be related to the people that you have a relationship with, the people that you surround yourself with. The greatest highs is from Romans. That is an awesome cornerstone to go to whenever we're talking about how we relate with people around us. That's Romans 13, verse 8. It's on your mood. It is a debt that continues on. So Paul's saying that all other debts, get rid of them. All other debts are not good, right? Get rid of your credit card, get rid of all those other things. Get rid of your phone that rings in the middle of God's word. All those other things. But the debt to love remains. The debt to love continues and remains. We're owed love to one another. And this issue trumps all. So we start in the first place, our family. Those are the people that are closest to us. What does God say about our family? Well, you might be surprised that Jesus doesn't always appear very family friendly. If you think about it, like if you look at it, you would expect Jesus to say only nice things about family. And that would be your first expectation. But you might be a little confused when you start seeing things because there's these stories that come up that make it look like Jesus doesn't really care about family. So let's look at them. Luke 14:26. This is the story of Jesus starting to call his first disciples, and he says this. Large crowds were traveling to Jesus, and turning to them, he said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. That is a crazy thing to say. Jesus just said it. He said, if you don't hate your own family or yourself, that person cannot be a disciple of mine, which is insane. At first glance, you might be thinking that Jesus does not have a very high view of family. And there's another verse in Matthew 4 that's also kind of strange. As Jesus is calling his first disciples, he says, going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. They were in a boat with their father, Zebedee, which is an awesome name. Keep that name in mind in case you guys, eventually have children and it's a son. Name it Zebedee because it's a sweet name. Preparing their nets. Jesus called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. And I want you to think about that for a quick second because that's insane. This was in a time where you did not go to college and decide your career path. Like this, that was not a thing at this time. If your father was a fisherman, you were a fisherman. You had no say in the matter. There was nothing you could do about it. If you were gifted in fishing, that was really fortunate. If you were not a natural fisherman, you would just have to get used to it. And if you're a woman, well, you're going to be a wife or a mother. Those were basically your two options of a fisherman at this point. Those are your options. That was what you were going to be. And he passes by these two guys, James and John, son of their dad Zebedee, and they were just doing their normal thing. And they knew their entire life laid out before them was to be fishermen for the rest of their life under Zebedee and Sons Incorporated. Right? That's what they were going to be. They were always going to be that. And suddenly Jesus walks by, and without giving them much of any preparation or anything, he just says, hey, follow me. And they leave their dad, who they were helping, and just follow Jesus just like that. Now, how do you think Zebedee might have felt at that moment? I don't know. It doesn't say anything about his reaction to this. Maybe he was happy for them, but there's also a very good chance, based on this culture, that he wasn't very happy, because you depended on your sons to help you with your work. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that Jesus doesn't like family? Does it mean that he doesn't think it's that important? Well, think about this. Tomorrow we're going to be celebrating Good Friday. Today's Monday, Thursday, which means tomorrow is the day that we mournfully celebrate the death of Jesus. It's a somber day, but it's also a good day. That's why it's called Good Friday. But on the cross, one of the best places to go to in the four Gospels to see Jesus dying on the cross is the book of John. And in the book of John, when Jesus is dying on the cross, he takes the moment to look at his mom, who's there watching it happen. Mary is there at the foot of the cross, crying at Jesus' feet as he's on the cross. And he takes the moment to look at John, and he says, John, I need you to take care of my mom. That's in the book of John. He looks at John and says, this is your mom now. And he looks at Mary and he says, John is going to take care of you. John is going to take my place. Make sure his mom is someone to take care of her. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And then Jesus' brother, James, becomes an important leader in the early church. Let me say that again. Jesus had a little brother, and his little brother himself believed that Jesus was the Son of God. Now, if there's ever anything in the world that is proof that Jesus was exactly who he said he is, it's that his little brother admitted that he was the Son of God. All right. Now, if all of you guys who are older siblings, if you went to your younger sibling and said, hey, I'm God, how many of your little siblings would buy that? Not many, okay? Probably not many at all. Or if you're a younger sibling and your older sibling comes up to you and says, hey, I'm God, just so you know. And you should probably worship me because of God. Are you going to do that? No, you're not, okay? That's just not going to happen. I want you to understand this. Jesus' little brother, James, believed he was the Son of God to the point of dying for it. You don't need any other proof that Jesus is exactly who he said he is. And then when a rich man comes up to Jesus and asks him what he needs to do to get into the kingdom, Jesus says, obey the commandments. And the rich man says, well, which ones? And Jesus said, well, do not steal, do not murder, do not give false testimony, love your neighbor as yourself, and honor your father and your mother. So why does it seem like he's saying two separate things? Well, he's not. He's not contradicting himself when he says to honor your father and mother and then live a life that is honoring to fathers and mothers. But then he also says some extreme things, like you need to hate your mother and your father in order to be my disciple. What he's really saying here is that Jesus wants us to put him first, and that even includes family. That's what he's doing. Now, Jesus is in a culture where family is everything. Guys, family is everything in this culture. Way stronger than what it is today. Today, growing up and disrespecting your parents is honestly a cool thing with a lot of friend groups. If you say something really bad about your mom, or your dad, your stepmom, your stepdad, or whatever, if you say something bad about them with your friends, it's kind of like if you feel cool about it. It's like saying like your teacher sucks, or like my teacher hates me, right? Like that's like, you say that because it's like, it's like you sticking it to the man, like you don't care about authority. The teacher hates me, whatever, because I'm a rebel without a cause, It's like a thing in our culture. That's a cool thing. it's cool to say something like that. That was not cool back then. You didn't disrespect your parents with your friends or anybody in this time period. It was a big deal. Today, most kids grow up and they feel like their parents owe them stuff, that they owe them a car, that they owe them money, that they owe them money for college and all these things. Back then, just because your parents raised you meant that you owed everything to your parents for the rest of your life. So for the rest of your life, there was a sense of you have to take care of your parents all the time. You lived with your parents, as in like for the rest of your life, they would be in your house, they would be a part of your life, you would have to care for them and do everything for them because you owed everything to them. That was the culture that they lived in. And you may think, wow, I'm so glad we're not in that culture, but that's just the way they lived. Jesus knew that family was everything to this culture. And that's why he challenges it. That's why he challenges this. He challenges the most sacred thing in the culture that he was in, which is their family. And he said, even when it comes to family, I should be more important. I should be more important than that. Because once we put Christ in front of everything in our life, we're going to be able to look at these relationships clearly with God's perspective, loving others with the love that he's given us. Then we will be able to do what Jesus said we must do, which is to honor our father and our mother. Now, this is the command that exists over us forever. No matter who you are, no matter what age you are, what kind of people you are, and what kind of parents you have, this is including of guardianship, guys. Someone is a guardian over you. That means if you were adopted. But the way we do that is going to